What's up, people, and welcome back to another episode of Ghetto Gospel. So where we left off at. Last week, we talked about Joseph getting pulled on by his master Potiphar's wife and refusing to smash her. She caught him slipping and grabbed him like he was just gonna fall in or something, and he beat feet up out of there. Then she lied and told folks he tried to rape her and got him through in jail. But everywhere he went and everything he did, God had his back and made sure everything he touched turned out straight. And now we caught up. So Joseph in prison. He run the prison, but he's still in prison. And when you in prison, the only folks you gonna run into is other prisoners. And Joseph just happened to run into two dudes who used to work for the Pharaoh. That's the king of Egypt. I guess because they was important, they ain't get put in gym pot. They got put in a house that was in the prison. And the captain of the guard put Joseph in charge of taking care of them. If you like me, you probably wondering why it's a house at the prison. And verse 3 say that house was for the captain of the guard. If you paying attention, you probably thinking like, wait, ain't that the same dude that had Joseph put in prison in the first place? That dude Potiphar? And the answer is yes or no. I ain't 100% sure. If captain of the guard is a job, kind of like Secretary of Defense, then it's possible that things ain't go too good for Potiphar when Joseph moved out and he got fired. I'm imagining that's what happened, because it don't say the dude's name. It just say captain of the guard. But if it was the same dude, that'd be kind of weird putting a dude in prison in the same house where your wife claimed he tried to smash her. Or maybe he just had more than one house. Either way, so these two new dudes in prison. One was the chief cupbearer and the other one was the chief baker. Now we all know what a baker do, but a lot of folks might not know what a cupbearer is. Basically, the cupbearer took a sip out the king's drink before the king did to make sure it wasn't poison. If you the king, it's probably a bunch of folks that want you dead. Sound like a dangerous job, right? But also, you usually got took care of pretty good to make sure you stay loyal. So these two dudes, the baker and the cupbearer, both in prison. And both of them had a dream on the same night that had them shook up in the morning. And Joseph was like, what's that with y'all? What y'all so spooked about? And they was like, we had dreams, but ain't nobody to interpret them. And Joseph was like, don't dream interpretation come from God? Tell me what y'all dreamed about. So the cupbearer was like, in my dream, it was a vine in front of me, and that thing had 3 branches. As soon as the buds started showing up on it, they immediately turned into blossoms and then into grapes, like 2-second style. So I grabbed up some of the grapes, squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and then gave it to him. And Joseph was like, oh, this what that dream mean. Them 3 branches mean 3 days. In 3 days, Pharaoh gonna lift your head up and put you back in your old position. You gonna put his cup in his hand just like you used to. And then Joseph was like, when everything work out for you, don't forget about me, alright? I'll at Pharaoh and get me up out of this prison. I ain't even much supposed to be here. I got kidnapped from the land of the Hebrews. And even here, I ain't did nothing wrong for these folks to throw me up in this prison. And when the baker heard how good things was about to go for the cupbearer, he decided he might as well shoot his shot, and he was like, do me now, do me. I had a dream too. And my dream, there was 3 baskets of light bread on my head. The top basket had all kind of baked stuff for the Pharaoh, but it was birds eating stuff out the basket on the top of my head. And Joseph was like, this what that dream means. Them 3 baskets is 3 days. In 3 days, Pharaoh gonna lift your head up off you and hang you on a tree, and the birds gonna eat the flesh off your body. And that man was probably either shook up for the next 3 days or just in denial. Either way, sure enough, 3 days later, Pharaoh had a big old dinner for his birthday, and he gave the cupbearer his old position back. And that man was putting Pharaoh's cup back in his hand just like he used to. And the baker, well, his head got lifted up too, just like Joseph said. And after all that happened, the cupbearer still forgot about Joseph and ain't say nothing to Pharaoh about him. Down bad. So that's it for this week. If you don't know Jesus, but you're trying to get to know him, go and click that first link in the description down there. I'll see y'all next week. And as always, peace, and I hope y'all people straight.